It's Monday, baby, and as we'll go over in today's video, Monday very likely a day for a bit of a Bitcoin bounce, but as we'll go over in the rest of this video, the back half of this week is kind of fraught with peril here and really a setup that is perhaps one to fool many. Anyways, before we get into this one, I should let you know that you still have until the end of today for this current sale going on for 20% off of all of our programs and services with the code BDAY in all capitals. And not only that, but the Krown Quant automation tool right here, which allows you to actually automate trades and automate your backtesting as well. That is actually 80% off for your first month. So that means that you can try it for a very, 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 very low dollar amount. And you might even make yourself some cash or some crypto, I guess is probably more accurately said. All right, sweet. So let's jump into it and start off with some Monday statistics right here. We'll actually build a strategy around this as well. And we'll also update on some of the other strategies that we have been looking at for the past week. But Monday, as we have gone over at the beginning, is actually a quite likely day to close positively from open to close, with almost 64% of all Mondays since 2024 began closing positively. Now, for those positive closing Mondays, it has had an average return of about 3.35%. And for the times that it has closed negatively, which is 36 or just over 36%, has had an average negative return of almost 2.5%. So likely the range for today. Let's see what that kind of correlate to in terms of actual price action to the upside. That'd give us an upper boundary somewhere around, deep $56,500 to maybe $57,000 to the downside. And by the way, that number will come up again, so do put it in the back of your mind's eye. And then, of course, to the downside, likely giving us a bit of a range low at around $53,500 for the day. So if you do see price action somewhere right around there, very likely a bit of a boundary, very likely does provide a bit of an edge for a scalp trade. Moving on from there, I do want to put this into an actual strategy. This is the Monday strategy. And as you can see, Monday, traditionally has been a more, I don't want to say bullish, but more positive day from open to closure. And this is just a super, super simple strategy right here. All we're doing is literally just opening a position. We're testing the opening of a position at 00 UTC on Monday and then closing that position at 10 a.m. UTC on Tuesday. And as you can see over the full history of Bitcoin, it has had some pretty significant positive returns, I would say, with only about a 50% strike rate, or a little bit above 50% strike rate. But because the profit factor is obviously massively in favor of those positive closing Mondays at over 1.4, this is going to give a nice equity curve over the full history of Bitcoin. If we go into the performance summary, we should also be aware that the average winning trade for this setup has been just over 4.25, and the average losing trade has been 3.30 or 3.30 is what I'm trying to say. So when you do have a strategy that is more or less effectively a coin flip in terms of whether it's likely to win or lose, but you do have obviously more average winning returns than average losing returns, you take that fucking coin and you flip that coin as many fucking times as you can for the rest of your life, because obviously that is going to provide, a net benefit. So in this case, let's see what that would look like in terms of price action. I need to remind myself it was 4.25, right? Yeah, 4.25, nearly to the upside. And from today's open, 4.25 would suggest where that would actually be a little bit higher than what I would really be considering here. That actually bring Bitcoin back above $57,000 to the downside. If we were to see about 3.5 to the downside, yeah, kind of the same as what we looked at earlier, very low $53,000 territory. So, a little bit biased towards a Monday bounce, but here's the thing. Monday bounce is not the same thing as Monday reversal to a major upside movement. I'm not saying that it can't happen here, but I still want to remind myself that it is best practice to be skeptical or defensive, especially in this first half of September. I'm going to continue to bring these statistics back into view right here, because as we've gone over, in September, on average, the low of the month was not had until at least about 15 days in, and in many cases closer to around that 19 to 20 day marker. Because why? That is your quad witching date. Now, there was a great comment yesterday. I forget who it was from because I really want to give them credit, but they actually had a really good observation. And they said, look, if you actually just look at the Septembers that were during halving dates, you will notice that those halving dates or those halving Septembers, the Septembers that happened after the halving is what I'm trying to say, the low of the month was very early in the month. In fact, within the first week. So we can go ahead and backtest this. 2012 would be obviously the first one. When was the low? The 2nd of September. Okay, interesting. 2016, the next halving date. When was the low? the 2nd of September. Very strange. The next halving date and the most recent one was in 2020, of course. And when was the low of the month? The 8th. So it was actually very early on within September. Again, 3 iterations is like not super robust in terms of data, but I do think that is interesting nonetheless. So, if you do want a little bit more of a bullish bias, we could say, hey, we're already on day number 9, more likely that we would have seen the low of this month early in the month, and all is well and good. I also do want to make a note here as well that in all of these instances, the low of September was actually not tested again, or like ever again. So I do think that deserves some sort of interest as well. Anyways, moving on from there, getting back to my notes over here, I do want to go through stochastic momentum because we have seen a new weekly closure. And what do you know? Weekly for Bitcoin spot is opening up down, as we said was likely, continuing into the bearish control zone, and remains with downside pressure as long as Bitcoin is closing below $59,000. Sorry, this is the 5-day. When we go to the weekly, also obviously down as well. And the pivot for spot price action is 56,800. CME is actually significantly higher than that at $60,000. I want to remind myself of this trendline regression coming in from the last few major lows going all the way back to 2022. But again, this trend line probably doesn't get tested until at least another 2, maybe 3 closures. So again, that brings us into the very end of September. So still kind of correlating with the overall thoughts on this channel that, hey, this first half of September, that is a time to be defensive. Bitcoin's going to have a real breakdown where it sees, somewhere in the 4s, somewhere in the 40s. That's what I mean to say. That's when it'd be most likely to happen. But if Bitcoin can just, spin its wheels and hold in this sort of mid $50,000-ish region, that is going to be considered a win, at least in my opinion, for the boo loss, especially if Bitcoin can kind of maintain above that number by the back half of this month, certainly. So moving on from there, I do want to get into the HPDR. Again, the ranges here for the weekly have updated. I think that this is incredibly accurate as far as, what to essentially expect. It pretty much summarizes all of the past data that we just looked at into one, very easy chart in my opinion. And to the upside, 61.8 level is showing $57,000 as an area of interest, meaning that Bitcoin could rally all the way up to $57,000. It doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't really mean anything for like the greater trend, for the greater structure. And by the same token, the bottom end of our current 78.6 level is actually all the way down at just around 50,500. So, perhaps a spike down there. Of course, we do have an event coming in later this week as well. That's going to be CPI on Wednesday, which very likely does move markets. So, a bounce on Monday, sideways Tuesday, or maybe even continuation of the bounce on Tuesday as well is completely fine. But Wednesday is going to be where we probably see the real direction revealed. And it wouldn't be surprising at all to see Bitcoin kind of, bounce up into that event all the way up to maybe even 57 or 56.5 and then come down. If it is going to come down, that's very likely what it would look like. What I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to postulate now is, what if happened would indicate that Bitcoin very likely is going to dig in its heels here, besides just like not breaking down. What sort of price would it have to pop back above? At this point, it's basically $60,000. So it's got some work to do. Anyways, also wanted to provide an update on our short strategy over here. I get a lot of questions about this daily, which is good. I mean, people are interested in it. I should say that it is still open from $58,000, but it will close today if Bitcoin does close above the red 5 at 55,250. So we'll see what happens if it does close. This one very likely will be profitable, and just wait for the next iteration, and perhaps that will precede the next major move. But for right now, this one looking very, very close to very likely already being done. Of course, this one already did hit the average take profit, and is already at the average amount of days that we would expect for these to actually play out, which is 5 as well. So today probably, in my opinion, probably will be the day, but we'll see. It's a long day left to go. It's a long week left to go, really. And kind of summarizing my thoughts yet again here, likely a bounce Monday, playing out some of the stuff that we looked at over here. But keep your eyes on about Wednesday. That's when, if things are going to switch around, very likely does happen. So that'll be it for this video. As always, I want to wish you the best of best. Again, just a quick reminder that the sale is going on until the end of today. It's great to see that a lot of people have been waking up to the power of the automation tools because, well, why the fuck should you be trading manually when you can just have a bot do it and just wake up, and it's like your little worker friend actually did work for you. It's really, really nice. And then, of course, all of our other tools, which I absolutely love as well, especially the HPDR ecosystem. So, all right, it's a quick video because I need to get off to practice. We've got a boxing match in literally 10 days from now, so I'm very excited about that. If you're going to be in Singapore, let me know. And yeah, we'll sign off on that note. As always, I want to wish you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow.